Colts wide receiver Reggie Wayne addressed the topic of sitting players in the final week of the season when the Colts faced the Texans Sunday, telling a local paper, quote, "We're too young to rest. We probably need to put everybody out there and have them continue to play. I don't think we can afford to rest. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm built to play." Do you agree or disagree with Wayne? Chris Mannix, questions for you.
I think he's out of his mind. I think that's the worst idea of the season, to let these guys play in this particular situation. Now, I know the argument for they've got a lot of young players, a lot of first and second year players, big roster turnover from last year, having Chuck Pagano back, trying to get him into the mix with some of the star players, the play calling especially. But he's not going up against the Kansas City Chiefs here. He's going up against the Houston Texans, who have something to play for, who 2 weeks ago sacked his quarterback 5 times in that game. Does he really want to risk an injury to Andrew Luck, which would flush any potential playoff success they would have right down the toilet? If I'm them, I sit these guys out. I play them, treat it like it's the third preseason game of the schedule. Let Andrew Luck hand off 3 times and then get him out of that game, because this Texans team wants that #1 seed. They want home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You don't let your key players, your star players, go out there and risk injury in a game that for you is completely meaningless. They're locked into the #5 seed, the Indianapolis Colts. They have nothing to play for right now. I wouldn't let those star players play more than 1 series for that team.
No, see, I'm completely opposite with you. I think they need to let these guys play. They need to continue to get better. And they lost to Houston the first time, and Andrew Luck did get sacked, but Houston was coming off that big loss. New England, now they're coming off another loss. So you know they're going to be bringing their A game, because they do have to play for a lot. They want the #1 seed, so they have to win this game. But listen, it goes back to our earlier topic. It's all about, what kind of a mentality you want to have going into the playoffs. And I don't care what the situation is. You don't want to end your season with a loss, regardless. You want to win. It just feels better. And I can't really explain it to the point of like how it makes you feel better, but it just makes sense. Like losing a game, and then that means nothing, okay? And then going into the playoffs with a loss, it doesn't feel right in the locker room. It doesn't feel right as a football player. And I know Andrew Luck and Pagano's coming back, and that's going to be an emotional big deal in that stadium. They need to continue to work on things. Andrew Luck needs to work on not throwing the ball to the other team. They don't need these games to come down to the wire. They need to get tougher up front. They have younger receivers that need to see more looks, because the playoff games are huge, and they're twice as important as the last regular season game. So they can see other looks that they can take some of that knowledge and bring with them into the playoff game.
I agree with you with the fact that they need to play in this game. Obviously, with Chuck Pagano coming back, it's going to be a huge emotional lift for the Indianapolis Colts. But the reason I think that they need to play this game, I don't think they're going anywhere in the playoffs. Listen, the Colts have only won 2 games against winning opponents, Minnesota and Green Bay. I mean, who really believes that the Indianapolis Colts are going to do any type of damage in the postseason? In the win against the Chiefs, we saw their defense just get thrashed by Jamal Charles in that rushing attack. They have a plethora of holes all across their roster. Yes, Andrew Luck has done great. A lot of the young guys have done great offensively. But this team is not going anywhere in the postseason. So why not finish the season out strong with Chuck Pagano coming back to the sideline and just go from there?
Yeah.
But you give yourself a chance if you have your guys healthy in that last game. And I'm not saying that. I think it would be nice if you have a competitive game. I think the players, as Reggie Wayne alluded to, want to play in that game, think it's important to play in that game. But as a coach, you have to look at the big picture in this situation. And you can't run the risk of an injury in a game that means 0 to you, going up against a killer. The Houston Texans right now are a killer, coming off that brutal loss to Minnesota. Yeah. They need that #1 seed. They want to win. And they're coming for your guys. They're coming for your running back. They're coming for Andrew Luck. They're coming from everyone on that roster. I think it's in the team's best interest of the playoffs, even if they are going nowhere. And I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't he make a good point? So
let's,
if that's the case.
But if Andrew Luck's, it's better to go nowhere in a playoff game than not be in a playoff game because you blew out your knee because J.J. Watt took it out on the way to the quarterback.
Whenever we start talking about getting worried about being hurt, that's when people do get hurt. You can't even, that's that part of it. The players realize that whenever they step onto the field, there is a possibility. Going back to the first preseason game to the second preseason game, it doesn't matter. You have an opportunity of getting hurt. They have a young team. They need these game time experiences. And regardless if they go far or not, it's a fact of will they battle. If they lose, which you're probably saying that they are in the postseason, next year they're going to say, hey, remember when we lost? Remember how young we were? Remember how we finished the season? Football players play. That's what we do. When you take them out of the game, now the only way I see this being, if them not playing, is if Houston just gets up on them and it's 3 touchdowns. You know what, now take your guys out and now rest them. Because now really, what's the point?
Wait, Christian, let me ask you,
Okay?
do you think they're not going, you agree with Woody? Are they
Listen,
not going anywhere?
With the team that they have, it's really hard to battle against a team like Indianapolis with all the emotion and the spirit that that team has. It's an added, something that you can't weigh, you can't measure it.
Quantify.
You can't. It's just, the guys play better when they're playing for a higher purpose. Now, Pagano's coming back this week. What kind of effect is he going to have on the game? I mean, how much is he going to be coaching? Is he going to be in the box? I mean, will he help them? Will he hurt them? I think this can only be a positive thing for the Colts by playing out the season, finishing it, 16 games to the wire, and then adding with the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. You can't quantify what how that emotion is going to be when Chuck Pagano comes back. But they haven't won a game on the road against a winning team. I mean, this team, they're a great story. There's no question about it. Andrew Luck, being the number 1 pick, Chuck Pagano on the team, playing for Chuck Pagano. But, I mean, let's be real. This team is not going anywhere in the playoffs. I mean, that's just, and I'm just being real here. They're not going anywhere in the playoffs.